Go beat the block down. 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 Let's beat the block. Let's beat the block.
What's going on, YouTube? This is your boy MQ, the sportscaster here, and this is the inaugural show, Return to Excellence Sportscast, my all-inclusive Raiders show that I've decided to come up with. I've been a Raiders fan all my life. I'm a huge sports fan in general, and there's a lot of people doing sportscasts, and I think this is something I can get into. So this is why I'm creating this show, and I will be creating another channel as well, and I will be getting into that on a later video. So, therefore, let's start off with breaking news, and around the NFL, obviously. Preseason shortened to 2 weeks. It's a double-edged sword because it kind of ensures, that none of our main players is going to get hurt. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it kind of does decrease the reps for our second and our third team players. So I think that it is significant, and it's also significant in the fact that this could be how things move forward with preseason, shorten it to 2 weeks. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things move forward, in the NFL. And it's going to be interesting to see with COVID-19 if we have a season at all. I mean, it would really suck. I kind of feel like the NBA season is even in jeopardy because of this. I don't know if they're going to really go forward with it, especially with all these players backing out. But anyway, if we do get a football season, it would be really a saving grace because I'm sure everybody here can agree that having really no sports to watch is just like, yo, damn. Like, for real, man, it's a struggle. You know what I mean? So just want to say welcome to the show. Welcome to the Sportscast. Subscribe, hit the like button. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a Raiders fan, come on. If you're a Raiders fan, you got to hit that subscribe button. Come on. I'm just trying to give a fresh face, a fresh, opinion on how I view things for our team going forward. You know what I mean? How I think things are going to go for this season and what they're shaping out to look like. I do believe that we have a really good young core. You know what I mean? I didn't expect that, honestly, when Gruden came back in, especially when his first term with us was, he had a bunch of veterans like Tim Brown and Jerry Rice and stuff. But I like what he did. He regutted the roster. He wants to make it his own way, and I like the direction we're heading. You got to give that entire coaching staff credit, especially for last year, because nobody even expected us to win 5 games. They all predicted we were going to go 4-12. We finished 7-9, and we were knocking on the door for the playoffs before we hit that midseason slump. But that's what happens when you have a lot of injuries and a group of young rookies. But you got to give that coaching staff and Gruden credit for how he got those guys prepared. I mean, some of those games, especially against the Jets and the Chiefs, those 2 blowouts. It's like, what the hell was we doing? Was we even prepared? It made you scratch your head and stuff like that. But those guys are young. It's a learning experience. So I expect us to be a lot better this year. I expect us to be a playoff team. Whether I believe us to be a deep run playoff team, I cannot comment on that at this point in time. We will have to, get some games going for that to happen. But, we're going to dive into some topics here. You know what I mean? I like to, read a lot of, blogs, just Blog Baby, you know what I mean, ESPN, keep up to date with, what's going on in Raiders, news and stuff like that. And, whatever I find interesting, I like to, talk about it and shed my opinion. First and foremost, let me get into a little bit more about myself. Like I said, I am MQ the Sportscaster. That's my moniker for these sports channels. My real name is Marcus. You can either call me MQ the Sportscaster or Marcus. I would prefer MQ the Sportscaster, but either or, whatever you, the viewer, feels comfortable with doing. It's up to you guys. I'm not going to hate as long as you like and subscribe and show your support. So, with that being said, I come from York, Pennsylvania. It's very small on the map. Surprisingly enough, a lot of out-of-state people find their way here. I don't know how. I really don't, but they do. You know what I mean? So, but it's it's actually York is a lot of people don't notice, or a lot of people don't who live here don't really I guess speak about it or whatever and stuff. But York is a really historical place in terms of the grounds in York, the wars, what I mean, and stuff like that. The soldiers marched through York to get to Gettysburg and all that stuff. So York is kind of like Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, kind of a historical place, So that's where I come from. What I mean? It's my hometown. It's one of those love-hate relationships. It's like, this is where I grew up. I have so many memories here with, some decent people, some good people that I haven't been to grow up with throughout my life. But at the same time, it is also like anybody who lives in York really knows it's just like, York's really, it's really not much, so not much to do, what I mean? So this is definitely a new outlet for me. This is something anybody who knows me knows I love talking about sports, especially my Raiders, baby. You know what I mean? I love this team. I love everything, the brand, the emblem, and just everything, the old school way. You know what I mean? Watching old school clips of how nasty and physical, this team was. You know what I mean? And of course, they would never be that way again because of how childish the NFL's rules got. I mean, I understand, because, CTE and stuff, you want to protect players and stuff, but also this is still a high contact sport. And I feel a lot of these hits that these players take, some of these calls, are just to pocket players' money, you know. But anywho, I mean, this is my all-inclusive Raiders page again, you know what I mean? So we're going to start off with some topics here, as, of course, that's what we are going to be doing here every video and stuff. I pick these topics I find intriguing about Raiders news, and we're going to talk about it. And I want you Raider fans, to give me your opinion as well. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, you know what I mean, and stuff. Take this journey with me and see where it goes. Obviously the layout's not the greatest right now. I'm just starting off. You know what I mean. Ride with me. Give me some time. I promise you my content will get better. My background, my layout, everything will get better. This is just a work in progress. But anywho, let's dive in, to the point, the moral of this sportscast. Raiders football, baby. So there's a couple topics I want to touch on. Everybody knows, week 1 we got Carolina and stuff. But I want to fast forward now to week 3. The Patriots. Man, it's signed Cam, and I've been a huge Cam Newton fan since that guy was at Auburn. I love Cam Newton, man. Like, he is just a great player. A guy 6'5", 260, can run the way he does, like he's a genetic freak. But as we know, was that style of football he played, it obviously took a toll on his body and would let him to get out of Carolina. I mean, but Coach Belichick, being Coach Belichick, played the cards of all cards. He waited. He waited until the smoke cleared. You know what I mean, and see if anybody else was going to take Cam. The Chargers didn't take Cam. Nobody else was interested in Cam. So Belichick, he pulled what Belichick always does. You know what I mean? They say fucking genius move. You go sign a former MVP, yes, who's coming off a lot of injuries and stuff. But if anybody knows Belichick, he'll build that offensive line to protect Cam. He's just going to have to tell Cam that, you can't take contact the way you did in Carolina. You just can't. If you run the ball, run out of bounds or slide. I can all but assure you that's what Belichick's going to be telling Cam. Now, it's interesting because, that matchup would be I think that would be a solid test, you know what I mean, to see where the Raiders defense is at, because, I believe, Carolina, we don't really know where they're going to be at week 1, the new coaching staff, everything's overhauled. We know what you're going to see out of Christian McCaffrey, you know what I mean, but you don't know what you're going to see out of everybody else. You don't know what you're going to see out of Bridgewater. You don't know what you're going to see out of the coaching style of Matt Rule yet. So, but this matchup, I find it interesting just for the simple fact is, Cam being a dual threat quarterback, he can run and he can pass. You know what I mean? So if he's healthy enough to start, you know what I mean? If he's healthy enough to start, I think that's a really interesting and early matchup for the Raiders to see where their defense is at, see if there's been some improvements with Paul Gunther. I will say this, Paul Gunther, if we don't get this defense together this year, I firmly believe, I'll put it this way, I give it 5 weeks. If the defense is still giving up as many points as they have been the last 2 years, which is over 20 plus points, I just don't see Paul Gunther being a defense coordinator anymore. I see a reason why you brought Rob Marinelli in from the Cowboys. I don't know how I really feel about that neither. You know what I mean? But I understand John's concept. He's an old school guy. I just don't know if me personally really like that. But I guess we'll have to wait to see when the season plays out. How much of a impact Marinelli's style of play, especially on the defensive line, and see how that works out. Because I really like the work Brenston Buckner did for us, but as we know, we got rid of him. And it's not a move I really cared for, but I'm not part of the coaching staff, so obviously John saw something that he felt an area we could possibly get better at, and that's where we went with. So, but that Week 3 matchup against New England, just because it's also Belichick's a great coach, man, and they lost so many parts on defense. How many of y'all would have said last year y'all thought that defense was going to be all that good with all those parts they had? Come on, he reinvented Jamie Collins' career. You know what I mean? Jamie Collins came back and was looking like the star he looked when he was there before. So it's a really intriguing matchup to see where we are at defensively. I'm really interested in that matchup. Plus, to just see Cam take the field if he's healthy. If he's not healthy, that kind of takes the steam off of it for me. But we'll find out. Down the line, especially if we even have a season, which I hope we do. You know what I mean? Like I said, they cut that preseason to 2 weeks, so I don't know. I mean, all right. Second topic I want to get into is I was reading something on Just Blog Baby about there's 3 Raiders in the fantasy football charts. That would be Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, and Henry Ruggs. And of course, you know what I mean, I can see Waller and Jacobs being, easily early draft pickups. You know what I mean? Those guys are highly productive. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not saying Ruggs isn't. I mean, I just think it's too early to grade him as a 103rd most valuable fantasy football option. I play fantasy for sports, so I know. You know what I mean? I just don't know. I think that's a little bit high, but we will see. I do know he will be asked to, carry the load. He is our number 1 wide receiver now, so excuse me, we will be expecting fantasy football outrageous numbers from him. You know what I mean? So, no, I think that was a little interesting little nugget, you know what I mean, that I wanted to talk about, you know what I mean, especially being a guy who's really highly into fantasy football and fantasy sports all in general. So, it's just, like I said, it's just interesting, you know what I mean? 103rd overall, I don't know. Not trying to hate on my boy. I love Henry Ruggs. I love the pick. When I was watching the draft, I posted on my Facebook, I would be happy with Lamb, Judy, or Ruggs. But after we made the pick, I went and, even watched some more film and watched what we like to do on film and stuff. And it's just a natural fit. It just really is. Because of the speed, the route running, the ability to get the ball in short quarters and go. So that 4.27 speed. Yeah, that guy's a playmaker. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited. Like I said, though, as a fantasy football guy who plays this shit, I just don't know if he's 103rd overall. But we will find out. Maybe he'll even climb higher than that. I hope so. You know what I mean? I think we have a lot of pieces in place. You know what I mean? It's all about, keep doing what we're doing as a coaching staff and grooming these guys. You know what I mean? I now believe that we have the roster to adjust. We have the depth to adjust. Hopefully, if barring injury, we gotta stay healthy. I mean, if these guys can stay healthy, I think we can be a threat, a force to be reckoned with. You know what I mean? Every year's different. I mean, Kansas City's not going to be as good as they were last year. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody gets a year older and falls, can start falling behind a little bit. I'm not saying Mahomes is, because that guy's got a lot left. But Kelsey's getting older. Tyreek, before you know, is going to be 30 years old. So I just don't think they're going to be that good. as they were last year, everybody's easily pegging them as Super Bowl favorites again. And rightfully so, to the defending champs. But as you've seen last year, Mahomes is not invincible. That ball get hit the right way. But I wouldn't want that though. I want us to beat them outright. I want them to be healthy, so that if we beat them, there's no excuses. I'm not that type of guy. You know what I mean? I'm firmly not that type of guy. If we play the Chiefs or any of our division rivals, or anybody for that matter, I don't want no excuses left when we come in and kick ass. You know what I mean? So let's also delve into I read a topic about fan side picks. Picking Josh Jacobs to be the team MVP. Um, I wouldn't see why you would go against that. I mean, the kid's a stud, well over 1,000 yards in his first season, with playing more than half the season with a bum shoulder. So you guys the man, you know what I mean? But do not sleep on my man Derek Carr. Listen, man, let me tell you something. Derek Carr is so underrated for what the hell he has been through with us, man. He really is. You talk about a guy who came in, you know what I mean? He came in with, if I'm not, it was Sperano. Yeah, it was Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen, if I'm not mistaken, was our coach when Derek first came in. And then it was Sperano? No. Derek was drafted in 14. So that was the Del Rio era, I believe. Yeah, that's when Del Rio era started. And either way, the guy's had a shit deal since he's gotten with us. I mean, we had that one good season in 16. I mean, I'm going to tell you what the downfall was. The real downfall, other than Derek Carr breaking his leg, what tore that team when we had Crabtree, Cooper, etc. apart? Firing Bill Musgrave. Why would you fire a guy, you know what I mean, if, Del Rio, that's why he's not our head coach anymore, obviously. Why would you fire a guy who has had our offense as one of the top offenses in the league? We were pegged to possibly be a threat to the Patriots that year. Yes, our defense still kind of was there, you know what I mean, but we put up the points to make up for that, you know what I mean? So, and obviously since Derek Carr broke his leg, he really hasn't been the same. But I want to say this. Last year I saw some light at the end of the tunnel for Derek Carr. In terms of, a lot of people give him knack for, ever since he broke his leg, not using his feet enough to create plays and stuff. And sometimes he does have that knack. But last year, I seen a little bit more of improvement. He was making more plays with his feet. He was trying to, you know what I mean, especially in that one game where he dove over for the first down. They didn't give him the first down, even though I thought he got the first down. If I'm not mistaken, if it was that Green Bay game or whatever, but he dove for that first down. He ran, and then he, obviously tried to run for the touchdown. He fumbled it and stuff, but he was doing things more with his legs than we had seen him do the previous 2 seasons after the injury. So that's a big plus. You know what I mean? And it's another little nugget I read about Derek Carr breaking Daryl LaMonica's record of 164 touchdown passes as a Raider. Derek Carr's had 143 touchdown passes. Listen, he can easily get that. You know what I mean? Threw 21 touchdown passes last year. You know what I mean? Barring injury, I'm expecting Derek to have his best year since 16. I am. This is make or break for Derek. And anybody who knows me, anybody, all my friends, coworkers who work with me, knows I am a huge Derek Carr advocate, man. Like I said, that guy's been given a shit deal. We fired Musgrave. We hired that Todd Downing who didn't know how to call a damn play in his life. And we completely shambled that team when Del Rio was still our coach. That's why we went out and got my boy Chuck back, a guy we should have never let go in the first place. But, God rest his soul, our old man Al, he was stubborn at times. It was his team, it was his brand, so he did whatever the hell he wanted, even if it wasn't the best move. So that's why we went out and got Chucky. And I think, being that this is Derek's 3rd year, now there's no excuses. This is your 3rd year in this system. You know the language. You know what Gruden wants. Protect the ball, make big plays, make precise plays, make smart plays. take care of the ball. So if he can do that, I'm expecting him to have a big year, especially with the more weapons we have with Henry Ruggs. You know what I mean? If Tyrell Williams can stay healthy, if we can just stay healthy, I am expecting Derek Carr to have a big year. I mean, I expect Derek Carr. You talking about Josh Jacobs being team MVP? Maybe Derek could take that. I believe in that. You know what I mean? I think Derek, you know what I mean, he's comfortable in this system. You know, the last 2 years, you got everybody talks about, you know, guys like Carson Wentz, you know what I mean, doing more with less and stuff like that. And there's no doubt about that. He definitely, especially with what he had last year, you know what I mean, he definitely didn't have much to deal with, and he still made it to the playoffs. But let's talk about Derek Carr with what he's had to deal with the last 2 years. You know what I mean? First with John gutting the team, you know, when he got there, trading Mack, trading Cooper, you know what I mean? You know, Derek Carr's the last 2 years, his number one option has been a tight end. If you're going to be an elite quarterback, you have to have more than that. Everybody knows that. I don't care who you are. You just have to. You know what I mean? Peyton Manning had Marvin Harrison. Tom Brady didn't really become that stat sheet stuffer until Randy Moss got there. So you need that. You know what I mean? You need that guy who can, as a quarterback, who can help push you over. You know what I mean? You do. And let's take a look at the stats with Derek Carr over the last 2 years. We've talked about doing more with less. 40 touchdowns, only 18 interceptions. That's impressive. And with a clip of over 67% completion rate. That's impressive. Not to mention, he is the number 2 quarterback in terms of comeback wins since he's been drafted in the league. That's not nothing to sneeze at. We just haven't had, obviously, the right team built around him. I firmly believe we do now, and I firmly believe we are going to get better. And I mean, I firmly believe that. I can see us going at least 10-6 this year. I want to say 11 wins, but I feel like I'd be stretching with that. So I'm going to go safe with 10. But I think we can be the team that, even if we don't knock KC off, you know what I mean, the division, at least we can be a wild card team, maybe get into the second round, ruin somebody's, you know, hopes, you know, getting to the second round. I don't know. But I think we do have the talent. I think we have the young talent, and I think we have some some young veteran talent. Like, you look at guys we picked up, Carl Nassib. That's a guy that I'm going to be talking about here in a second. Carl Nassib, you know, Littleton, Kikowski. You know what I mean? We made some solid moves on, especially we revamped our entire linebacking core. We needed that. You know what I mean? Because we were depleted. That was our number one depleted area last year, was the middle linebacking core. So we addressed that issue. So let's go into here about, like I said, I wanted to say something about Carl Nassib. There was bold predictions and 3 players picked by Raiders that are predicted to go to the Pro Bowl. And those 3 players on the defensive end, those 3 players are, of course, my boy Max Crosby, Littleton, and you got Jonathan Abram. Now, why I think my man, and you see the jersey back here, you know what I mean? Now, I have no lack of confidence in John. I don't want to push for John to make a Pro Bowl this year. What I want to see out of John is just make an impact first, because we didn't really get to see him play because he got hurt the first game of the year last year and broke his collarbone. And that's what I want to see. I want to see big hits from John, but I want to see safe big hits from John. I don't want you just throwing your fucking body, being kamikaze Abram. That's what I call him, kamikaze Abram. Because that fucking guy just throws his body all over the place. You know what I mean? Just to fucking destroy you. He will destroy himself to destroy you. That's why his nickname is Kamikaze Abram. You know what I mean? So, I'm not saying he doesn't have he definitely has the potential to make the Pro Bowl. I just think it's a stretch a little bit, but it's not out of the question. But to me, just a little bit, tad bit of a stretch. You know what I mean? Max Crosby, especially if he can repeat or do more, which I think he will do more than what he did last year. I mean, let's look at the numbers. The guy was, you know what I mean, tied 11th in sacks with 10, tied 5th overall with 16 tackles for a loss. I mean, again, how many fumbles forced? 4? This guy's a stud. You know, everybody called us crazy, and we first, to me, I thought we were fucking nuts getting rid of Khalil Mack. But when you look at it, in terms of longevity, in terms of financial, we wouldn't have had that money. After we paid John and got John back, we didn't have the money, especially with the move to Vegas. You know what I mean? And when you look at the drafting, Mike Mayock has done, got to give kudos to Mike Mayock for the drafting he's done. We easily, to me, I felt like we had the best still out of the draft last year with Max Crosby. The guy's a fucking stud. I was saying it, to my friends and everybody before last season started. I'm like, look out for bad Max Crosby. So look out for that guy. And what the fuck did I tell you? This guy is a stud. I mean, but a guy I think could possibly. I don't want to sit there and say. I'm not saying Carl Nassib is going to be a Pro Bowl caliber player. I'm not saying that. We obviously filled a role for depth with him. But my thing with Carl Nassib is this guy, for a guy who's just a depth player, he is highly productive. You know what I mean? So I just want you to keep that name in mind. Carl Nassib. You know what I mean? Came over from Tampa on free agency. You know what I mean? The guy is very versatile. He can play middle linebacker. He can play outside linebacker. He can line him up defensive end. Very versatile guy. He makes plays. Man, I like Carl Nassib. You know what I mean? I really like that move. That was, to me, in free agency, the sleeper signing of free agency for us. You know what I mean? And for all the NFL, to me, you know what I mean, was grabbing Carl Nassib from the Buccaneers. Because, the Buccaneers wasn't, of course we're getting headlines now because grabbing Brady and, basically the entire fucking New England Patriots, the old New England Patriots team. You know what I mean? They're getting all those guys. Now they're getting notoriety, but you didn't really get no notoriety out of Tampa because they haven't been obviously that great since, remember the last time. Let's not talk about that. Oh, man. You know what I mean? But back to Derek Carr. You know what I mean? I appreciate the fact that he could break Darryl Monica's record, but we don't care about that anymore. We want fucking wins. We want to go to the playoffs. We want to contend for a championship. And this is why I said this is a make or break year for Derek. I am a huge Derek Carr fan. I like Derek Carr. You know what I mean? Like I said, felt he's gotten a raw deal since he's been with us. You know what I mean? This is make or break, man. Third year in the Gruden system, there's no more excuses. He's gotten you the weapons you need. You got Waller. You got a number one tight end. You got a number one running back. And now you have Ruggs, a number one wide receiver, who I believe is a number one wide receiver, despite what some other people say. And I mean, even some other Raider fans think that was a bad pick. I don't. I mean, I think he fits our system and what we want to do. And we needed speed. We needed speed so badly. You know what I mean? Especially with, 84, I don't even want to say his name, snubbing us. Excuse me. You know what I mean? But, it's really interesting. You know what I mean? It's going to be a really interesting season for the Raiders. You know what I mean? This is one of the more excited seasons for me. I really think we are going to get over that hump in terms of the playoffs. I can't say Super Bowl right now. It's just too premature. You know what I mean? It just really is too premature. I feel like we have to prove ourselves. You know what I mean? We have to prove ourselves that we can be consistent. That's the one thing that stood out to me last year two things that stood out to me in terms of watching our games. Inconsistencies and not adjusting. I credit that to the injuries and to also number 84 for our offense deciding to act like a jerk, and we had no number one wide receiver. So it made things just very, very difficult. But damn, did we do it? Did we fight as long as we could, winning 7 games? That's hard to do with a depleted roster of injuries, a bunch of rookies, and no number one wide receiver on offense. That's quite impressive. That shows a testament to our coaching staff, and it shows a testament to our players' dedication that they're trying to learn in terms of learning to be consistent, learning to adjust. So I really think this is a big upside year for the Raiders. Max Kellerman, I was watching ESPN First Take a few weeks ago, and Max Kellerman has this as the biggest threat to contend against the Chiefs. You know what I mean? I believe that. A lot of people will say, oh, what about Denver? Because that Denver defense. Do they know how to call offensive plays down there? Because I don't think so. I mean, I think Drew Lock is going to be good for them. But I don't know. I don't think, no disrespect to the guy, I don't think Vic Fangio is the answer for Denver in terms of what they want to do. Like, he's a defensive guy. Now, defensively, he's a defensive coordinator. He's a long-time defense coordinator who deserved a spot to at least get a try as a head coach. I don't see him as a head coach. I just don't. But we're going to wrap this up here. This was the inaugural show, Return to Excellence Sportcast. I will be having many more videos coming with many more topics I want to touch on. Hit the bell button, subscribe, leave your comments in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer some. If you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, your suggestions, anything, like I said, go on this journey with me. We in there. Return to Excellence Sportscast. Thank you. Hit the subscribe button. Have a nice night, y'all.